The most powerful version of Darth Vader we've ever seen is known as Dark Dimension Vader, and this is how his story began. After a brutal showdown on Mustafar with a native species known as the Lava Fleas, Vader retreated into his castle to use a dark side nexus to open a portal leading to the Dark Dimension. But before being able to do so, he was confronted by an ancient Sith known as Darth Momin, claiming that Vader wasn't worthy of his position because he believed he was above the dark side. So Vader ignited his Crimson Saber and the two of them instantly engaged in battle, but eventually Vader was brought to his knees when Momin sliced off one of his arms. However, before Momin could finish the job and take his life, Vader was able to catch him off guard by using one of the pieces of the Nexus to crush his entire body. And immediately after doing so, he began opening a doorway to the Dark Dimension with his bare hands. Upon stepping inside, once the doorway was finally opened, Vader was fully transformed into a spirit emanating with rage. He would then go on to see his entire life play out, all the way from when he was in his mother's womb to becoming the Sith he was today. The experience was so powerful that he was even able to interact with his past self back when he was living on Tatooine by infiltrating his dreams and causing him to have a nightmare. But that was just the very beginning of what he'd experienced, because after that he was confronted by glimpses of when he was taken in by Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn to be trained in the ways of the Jedi, and also the early days of him and Padme's romance. But eventually he'd stumble upon what seemed to be the Jedi Temple, and upon walking inside, he was confronted by all of the Jedi who failed him during his time in training. So in an effort to prove he was more powerful than they'd ever be, he leapt into the air, drew two swords out of pure Force energy, and proceeded to brutally slaughter Mace Windu by slicing off his head, kill Yoda by jamming both sabers through his chest, and then deal with the rest of them in one way or another. After that, he was faced with both his former master and his current master going at it in a vicious showdown. A showdown that Palpatine would eventually come out on top of, but with a heart filled with anger and rage, Vader didn't hesitate to start blasting him with Force lightning until he was fully burned to a crisp, which finally allowed Vader to be with Padme. But upon telling her to take his hand because he could save her, she jumped off of the temple and was incinerated by a massive pulse of lightning. And so once again, Vader fell to his knees, longing to be in Padme's presence again. But before being able to continue mourning his loss, he was confronted by a massive beam of blue light force energy way off in the distance. Sadly, that's where this issue comes to an end though, but if you want to see what happens next, let me know in the comments down below.